Welcome in to the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by Bet365. We got Big E and Rudo coming to you live. It's kind of college hockey season. It's kind of been college hockey season, if I'm honest. You know, we're already down to the Frozen Four. That includes DU and, Eric's BU as well. Also includes Penn State and Western Michigan onto that front. But we don't really care about those two teams here. So that's all good. We'll get into the college hockey conversation. We'll get into some other conversations circling around that, including what past the NHL might look like. We'll also have an interview for you with a couple of DU players. But before we get into all of that, I want to ask you this. Is Colorado the best hockey state, the most successful hockey state? Because I think there's a pretty strong argument that it is.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, obviously a lot's changed over the years, right? With the I-25 corridor going right from CC to Air Force to DU to, the NHL, the Avalanche, and American League with the Eagles. It's a sick corridor when you think about it. And the success that they've had is, especially with DU, you're talking about most college NCAA Division I championships with 10, right? You're talking about 3 of the last 4 in the Final Four. Are they going to win 3 of the last 4? Who knows? Now the Avalanche, obviously, 1.0 big couple decades of outstanding hockey. Now you're talking about the Avalanche 2022. Eagles have always done well. Whether it was ECHL or CHL or AHL, wherever they're at. And this year they seem to be obviously, again, a good team that should do some damage in the playoffs. So, if you're talking about success, man, it's hard to argue, right? It's pretty successful. Now, people will tell you, but it's not the most popular with, for example, Minnesota or New England, right? Obviously, Massachusetts and all those. They'll tell you there's a lot more USA hockey registrations for youth. Of course there is. There's more bigger population as well, right? When you're talking about, I'm not saying Minnesota doesn't have population. I'm saying the number of kids that play. You know what I mean? So that would say that Denver probably is not at the top there. But when you're talking about success, boy, it's pretty good. I like your comment there. You know what I mean? It's pretty good.
Look, you mentioned most of the teams, and I think usually the biggest argument I hear for a better hockey state is Minnesota. I don't get it. Like I understand. Okay, Minnesota produces more high caliber hockey players. Sure, fine. There's more lower level children's and kids hockey there. Fine. I that's a fair statement. But at every single level, Colorado wins more than them. DU has more championships in the NCAA than all of the Minnesota schools combined. And then Colorado College has a couple of championships too, if you go back far enough. So not even competitive there. When you look at the Colorado Eagles, they have 4 championships, 2 in the CHL, the Central Hockey League, and 2 in the ECHL. And now they're about to win their division in the AHL this year. As a franchise, regardless of league, the Colorado Eagles have never missed the playoffs in any league, ever. Colorado has 3 championships in 30 years, which since Colorado entered the league, only one team has won more championships than them. The Avalanche, that is. And that team is... No, it's Detroit.
No. Oh, God. Stop.
Pittsburgh is tied with them at 3, for the record. But
True, yeah.
But both of those teams have been around just a little bit longer than the Colorado Avalanche. So, pretty wildly successful. Um, it's it's incredible to experience all of that from a hockey perspective with how successful the Avalanche, how successful DU, and how successful all of these other teams have been for Colorado. Now,
Yeah.
I do think it is fair to say there is some growing to be done as far as developing players, but there are, when I was a kid, there were basically no players from Colorado. And now, there's not a ton. I'm not going to tell you where Colorado is churning out hockey players or anything, but there's a handful of guys that you can point to, you can look at that come
Yeah.
from Colorado, whether it be the Jones family. You look at someone like Slavin, yeah,
Shores.
now, yeah, the Shores now in Toronto with Carlo. There are a handful of guys, and likely more on the way coming from Colorado. So, uh, one, how long do you think the Colorado State can retain this title of success? And two, realistically, what does the future look like when it comes to getting something like a USHL team or getting something like an NWSL team here in Colorado? NWSL? That's the football soccer league. NWHL. How about that one?
Well, you got the Northern American League too as well, right?
Yeah, you
NAHL.
got the null here. Yeah, true.
Uh, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's I mean, the difference between Minnesota, Minnesota, and like Massachusetts, whatever, and Denver is most kids, which is a different format. Most kids go play high school hockey, and we all know what the tournament is like in Minnesota. And that kind of grows the communities together behind it, the schools, and everybody's kind of like jumping on the wagon. They do it at the Excel Energy Center, and it's fun and it's different. So I know Colorado does it as well, just on a smaller scale, right? I mean, again, they're a little bit behind. I'm talking about not. I'm
I,
not talking about the quality of play. I'm saying they're a little bit behind. You know what I mean? Like meaning, not everyone plays high school hockey. It's just you'll play for your club. Where over there, you pretty much everyone plays for the high school hockey team, and that's what kind of
yeah.
what makes the whole thing grow. If that makes sense, you know what I mean? I'm not even talking about quality of play, and it's the same thing here in Massachusetts, right? Or whatever, New Hampshire, New England. So those are the ones that produce pretty much the most players, so to speak, because of the amount of kids that play. You know what I mean? So it's a little different. But to get back to what you were saying, um, yeah, I mean it's. I think as long as Kel Makar, Nate McKinnon are going to be two of the best of their profession, and one on four, one on D, you'll be able to proclaim a little bit the best state of hockey. You know what I mean? Because they're going to be up there, right? You know what I mean? So I think it starts at the top, and it starts with the NHL team. And once you see that, and once you see the results that they're getting, and they should get for the next few years, we all know that the main pieces are there for another few years. So yeah, so maybe we'll be talking about more multiple championships. You know what I mean? And we'll see.
Yep. Uh, it's Here's the thing that makes the difference for me. And I we like to dunk on Minnesota sometimes here. Look, the high school hockey culture there is awesome. Everybody plays hockey there. It's super cool. I am jealous of that. I
Well,
want that in Colorado, but also cool. You're the champions of Minnesota high school. Big deal.
what's
Go
a big
play
deal
around in
there?
other states. I sure, but
Yeah.
they're not out here beating everybody else in the country. I'll put it to you that way. So
Yeah, and then Stig saying McKinnon, yeah, he did play at Shattuck, and those guys were like 14 years old when they played there. Crosby, and they go there because it's a little different there. Shattuck, they don't really play that high school uh, format, so to speak. In Minnesota, they play more like a
well,
AAA Tier One schedule. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So they're everywhere. They're at every tournament. Where in high
the,
school, you just play against the high schools, right? You don't get
yeah,
on the plane and
the
go. You know
prep
what I mean?
schools are
So
very, very different. Yeah, that's two
it's
different things.
so different. Yeah,
By the way,
yeah.
if you didn't know, Minnesota high school does have some unusual rules. For example, they only play 17-minute periods. Um, Weird stuff happens in those leagues.
Yeah, it's a little different, but
But
boy, their hair flow looks good when they You see, I don't know if you see that on social
Yeah,
media,
the
the
yearly
hair and
hockey hair tournament.
it's
Yeah, I've
awesome.
seen it. I've seen it. Hey,
So
look,
you could make a run for be on the first team All Star for sure. When your
they can
hair's
keep the hair.
flowing, when it's gone,
I don't need that. I'll stick with the good hockey. All right, fair enough on that front. Um,
yeah.
eat. It, speaking of the Colorado Eagles, and are we making too much of this, or is this something really worth diving into? Gabe Landeskog participated in a morning skate with the Colorado Eagles the other day. It sure looks like the Avs may try to get him into a game or two with the Eagles as a conditioning stint rather, to warm him up, test him out, whatever you want to call it. How important is that? Does that really matter? Or is this just a little bit of hype about pushing Gabe Landeskog back to coming back to the Avs?
Well, it's a little bit of both, right? We all know that obviously the team was on the road last week. We all know he didn't go on that trip, right? So he stayed back here. So, which is good. It's good to get going with a little bit of pace of bodies in practice. Very important. Like I say to you all the time, it's almost 3 years that he hasn't played, and for me, it's not even like, are you in shape? Are you a good hockey player? Can you shoot a puck? Can you catch a puck on your backhand? Can you saucer a pass? Yeah, those things are all good. For me, it's the speed of the game. It's the thought process of the game. It's to get your brain back on track. You don't get that until you get those reps from games. It's just the way it is, right? So if he does end up playing there, great. I mean, I think it's important for his psyche, for his mental. Like, because he's going to be out of breath. He's going to be absolutely gassed after the first period. You know what I mean? Or second period. Probably first period would be adrenaline. Second period, you're just out of gas. And third period, you're like, wow, how do I hang on? Which is very normal. So I think it's okay, and I think it's okay for him to get out there and get some reps and get some thoughts on, again, like I said, just to kind of analyze the game and making some crisp changes, some good decisions with the puck, and getting a little bit of body contact. Obviously, the AHL is a good league. It's a very important league for the development of the players. So you might have to think a little bit like Gabe. It's back to that stage for a game or two, right? Just to get himself going. You know what I mean? So yeah, if he does, I think it's awesome. I think it'd be
I,
awesome.
I think you made a good call out there when you're talking about his thought process with it, right? Because it's important to not just the physical aspect of it, which of course matters a lot.
No,
That's what Gabe is recovering from injury wise, but getting your mental side, your brain back up to playing in a game speed type of situation when it's been as long as you're talking about, when it's been technically not quite 3 years, but pretty darn close. It's everything, every part of your game, your decision making, your your hands and your feet, your body position, even in certain situations. It's a lot of stuff that you have to get back to. And yeah, obviously Gabe has been practicing a bit harder over the last couple of weeks. He's ramping things up, but it's just not the same. No single part of it is the same as participating in an actual competitive professional hockey game.
no bike, no treadmill, no assault bike, no situation with Toby on the skill side of things. No morning skate. No, nothing will get you prepared for the actual uh, being in the heat of the moment of a game where you're dealing with all that. You're dealing with the making decisions. You're dealing with an opponent that's trying to take the puck away from you, be physical on you. I didn't want to say rip your head off, but sometimes, So, I mean, you know what I mean. So it's very important to get back to protecting yourself, to make sure you're doing the right things, and I think that's why I like it. I've always said it's good for guys to. And Gabe, of course, is an all-star, and he's a captain. He's a franchise type guy, and he's a Stanley Cup winner. But he hasn't played. He hasn't played at all. Like, what I mean. So I think it's when you haven't played, it's important to see how your brain reacts, how your your degree of responding to things thrown at you. decision making. You're responding to the physicality of the game. How you respond the next day. How are you the next day? Are you feel better? Do you? I mean, are you feeling it, or are you just absolutely? Oh my God, I can't even move. Like I mean, so I don't know. There's a lot of unknowns. This is something that no one really knows the answers at. So
True.
I think it's not a bad gig. It's not a bad gig for him to go play. So
I will say this, and while you do want Gabe to get in there and take contact, if someone's trying to rip Gabe's head off in that game, if he does play, which there's still no certainty at all, Gabe may well not play for the Eagles at all. Um, if he does play for a game for them and someone tries to take a run at him, there are going to be 19 Colorado Eagles jumping a guy. If anyone tries to even touch Gabe, I'll tell you that much. We do have to take our first break here, though, so let's pay a few bills and jump into that as we are brought to you by Empire Today. Make sure you get in with Empire Today and build that good floor. That's what Gabe is doing right now, whether it's in practice, whether it's in morning skate with the Avs, with the Eagles. He plays in those Eagles games. It's building up that floor, building up that foundation. And you can get a great discount on your floor with Empire Today. $350 off new floors when you use that DNVR code. Empire Today only carries the best products. You don't have to go in and search through all the junk. They'll only show you the best stuff, whether it's carpet, whether it's wood, whether it's tiling. They've got your floor covered no matter what you're looking for with the best stuff. Empire Today lives and breathes flooring. They can even come out and give you a free in-home estimate at your house because, why go somewhere else when you can stay at home? Take a look at that. You can pick the right flooring and the right colors for your space by doing it in your own home. Schedule that free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. DNVR listeners, again, get that $350 discount with promo code DNVR. Head on over to empiretoday.com/DNVR. Get that $350 discount. empiretoday.com/DNVR for full details and terms and conditions. Once you got your floor in, once you're feeling good, once you're standing on it, you deserve a beer. In fact, you deserve the official craft beer of DNVR. You guys know we love Breck Brew over here. Jump in with them if you haven't had the chance yet. It's a beer for any occasion with them. They literally have dozens of flavors, and it's a great way to watch an Avs game, especially down at the DNVR bar. You get a couple bucks off the DNVR Avalanche while the Avs are playing. So come out there. They're made with 100% renewable energy. Some of their best flavors include that Avalanche Amber. If you're a Nuggets fan, they got the Mile High City, Broncos Country Pale Ale, whatever it might be. There's a beer for you from Breck Brew. They've got IPAs, they've got sours, they've got Kolsch's, you name it. Go check them out. Use their Breck Beer locator online at breckbrew.com to find them at a liquor store near you. They're available in all 50 states if you can't make it down to the DNVR bar, which, by the way, we will be having a watch party at the bar for the Frozen Four. The DU game on Thursday, we will be open. We'll be watching. We'll be having a great time. It's going to be a fun one. Highly recommend you come on down to that event. There you go, right there. 3 p.m., baby. Doors open at 2:30, I believe. So make sure you get in. Make sure you're watching the fantastic Colorado hockey, the semifinals of the Frozen Four. Decent chance it's going to be DU versus BU in the finals of that tournament. I want to talk a little bit more about that college hockey. You had the chance to interview 2 DU players, including Jack Devine. It was Jack Devine, Eric Pohlkamp. You talked to him over the weekend. Let's see what some of the DU boys had to say about the Frozen Four and what life is like as a college hockey kid.
Oh, here we are with a couple of DU pioneers that are heading to the Frozen Four next week in St. Louis. And boy, Jack, I know this is your third one in 4 years, so it's kind of a exciting times for the people of Denver. For you guys, talk to me a little bit, both of you, what you feel the vibes are. And obviously, every year is different. This year was an up and down year, so to speak, meaning like after winning the championship, you guys were still back on, but you had your ups, you had your downs, and then obviously you're rolling at the right time. And it's kind of nice to see that you guys are back into the Frozen Four.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it to you earlier, Eric, but every Frozen Four is super exciting. I think the opportunity to play in another city, like I mentioned to you, that being in St. Louis, my other 2 were in Boston and Minnesota. It just gives you an opportunity to play in a different NHL rink, and that's something you dream of as a kid. And I think it's really nice that we're in St. Louis this year. It's kind of the Western United States, and that'll make it easier for our fans to travel and for my family to drive in from Chicago. So I've heard a lot that we're going to have a lot of support there, and that should be something that's really exciting for us and for me and the players.
Yeah, I think kind of the main reason why I came here is to go to these Frozen Fours and play in these big games. So you hear about the guys talk about in the locker room all the time, beginning of the year through August to September. So the early months too. So being able to play in it will be, I think, really cool. And I'll have a lot of family there. So I think my whole family's coming. I haven't seen them in probably a year and a half. So
Oh, wow.
I got a big family. So they're coming. Their wives are coming. So I think it'll be really cool for everyone to kind of experience it all and take it all in.
Well, I'm excited. Like I said, I'll see you guys. So I'm excited. Hopefully you guys can move on to the final game, and hopefully the Terriers that my son's on can move on to the final game. And like I told the Cibrians last year, obviously Kieran, a big, great friend of the family, I was excited for you guys last year to make it. And genuinely, DU is a big part of Denver, a big part of my family. Ron Graham, obviously, that worked with you guys forever. That's a family friend with his wife, Charlotte. And so talk to me a little bit, both of you. We'll start with you, Eric. Obviously, you just kind of alluded to it. You transferred for a reason, which was exactly what you just talked about, because you wanted to go with a winning franchise and not a franchise, sorry, college program. And, talk to me a little bit about your path, when you leave home and you go play your first stop in college, and then you decide to transfer and, enter the portal. And how does that process go through for you last year?
Yeah, I kind of want to stay closer to home. I committed probably a little too early than I should have, and Bemidji's about an hour and 30 drive north from my hometown, and I know my parents came every weekend to those games. And we play Mankato, we play St. Thomas, so they're coming to those games, and we played Duluth in North Dakota. They actually have not a bad schedule, so no, it was fun to play in those kind of close to home area. And then when I hit the portal, that's what I was looking at, is who's going to have the winningest record, and who's going to take me the farthest. And the most thing I went off was the coaching staff and trusting DC. And honestly, it was between here and North Dakota. And thank God I chose Denver, and North Dakota, they're kind of going through a rebuild right now. And I kind of would have been in then. Who knows if I'd hit the portal again this year. So no, just trusting DC and trusting these guys and see who they had coming back. And honestly, I was banking off Shai Buyam and Sean Barons to sign, and both of them did end up signing. So it opened up a spot for me. And that's kind of what I went through. And then me and Devo kind of have the same agent. So Dino was saying how much Jack loves it here and how much Jared Wright loves it here. So no, it's pretty easy in the long run. Obviously, it's a little farther away from home, absolutely. But no, it's absolutely awesome out here. I love it.
Yeah, it's amazing because that's all you hear, right? Obviously, with a hockey background, all you hear is culture, and the name David Carl comes across all the time. In the World Juniors, pretty good friends with a bunch of kids that were World Juniors this year that I play at BU, and they were just raving about David Carl and the job that he does at assembling the people. But I think, Jack, for you, being obviously, I'm not going to say older because everybody's different ages and everything, but a 4-year guy, you talk about the culture and a guy like Eric coming in. What's it like, and how does it work for you older guys to make sure you guys carry on that culture?
Yeah, I think we had 7 new guys this year. And I think it was just trying to, as quickly as possible, get them acclimated to the winning culture that we have. And I think, like I mentioned, we've got a really tight-knit group. And so just doing stuff both on the ice and pushing each other in practice, and then doing some stuff off the ice so that everyone feels part of the team. And I think with the new group of guys, I think they were eager to learn and eager to really gel together. I think they liked the idea of being in a culture that was one big family. And I think I can attest to Eric, who did a good job every day in practice, wanting to get better, pushing other guys. Obviously, he's one of our top players. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons for success is a lot of the practices feel like games, and it's really highly competitive out there.
And I'm going to stick with you, Jack, too, because I do talk to parents and all the time about their kids and development. And, I like the fact that, you're a 4th-year guy and you've had success. You could have left probably before. What was it like to the thought process of staying there, staying in that program, and make sure that too many times kids or parents or agents, whatever, try to burn steps and try to leave early. I'm a big proponent of I like when guys stay. You know what I mean? I do. Yeah. And I think it's important. What was your thought process going through it these past couple of years?
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to talk with, obviously, my agent, the coaching staff, family, friends, my family. And I kind of felt there was a couple of things in my game that I can continue to improve on, and areas and weaknesses that maybe could have gotten exposed in pro that I thought I've really developed this year. I think for me that I was fortunate enough to have a world-class coaching staff here as well. I think Matt Shaw is the best strength coach in the country. Obviously, David Carlo, in my opinion, is the best coach in the country. I talked with Florida, and obviously it was a hard conversation, but I was lucky enough also to have a NHL team that is supported me for that decision, and still is going to welcome me back next year with open arms, which I'm thankful for. And at the end of the day, looking back, it was the right decision. Got another year with some of my closest friends. Made new friendships, obviously, with Eric, and I was able to get my degree as well. So now I can go into pro and not worry about that. So yeah, I'm super thankful for my decision. Obviously, it was hard 11 months ago, but when I look back on it, I'm glad. And obviously, I got another chance to win a national championship.
No, I love the process, and with the ever changing landscape, obviously, of the NCAA, we know that with the NIL and all that kind of stuff, and I know you guys deal with the agency there, Nielsen Sports, and Nick Gallo. How has it been for you, for example, Eric, to navigate through all that, and kind of how do these guys work with you guys to make sure that everything is on point?
Yeah, I kind of started with Bemidji last year. I was kind of looking at stuff to do, and I got like a local bank type thing. And so what happened is we shot like a commercial type thing, and what I had to do is I had to open up a credit card through them, or I mean a debit card through them, and so I actually still use their debit card today. So no, that was kind of like the first start, and then this summer I talked with one of my buddies, and he kind of got me a clothing deal. So no, it just started with that, and then Nielsen reached out, and they kind of do all the little stuff, a little behind, and kind of just let us play hockey. So it's really nice what they do, and like they set up meetings like this, and then me and Jack did a burger company the other day with Good Times. So.
Nice.
No, it's just it's easy stuff like that, and they set it up. You don't have to do any of the dirty work or anything like that. So, no, it's nice in the long run for sure.
Yeah, I think you just get so busy with school and hockey that in your free time you don't want to be sometimes it's hard to reach out to businesses and other stuff. So Nielsen comes in and does a good job reaching out for you, setting up the deals, setting up the contracts, because that's obviously something me and Eric aren't as knowledgeable on. And I think it just kind of enhances the college experience. And that's something that's really cool as we get a chance to share our story with you, obviously, Eric, and kind of show more of our personality side. So rather than all necessarily money, it's just another chance. They give us a chance to show our personality and just grow our brand a little bit personally.
Nice. I mean, I don't know, it might be a shock to you, but sometimes I skip salads and I love burgers. I know it looks like I eat salads, but I expect maybe a Good Times gift card next week when I run into you guys in St. Louis. So I'm looking forward to that. No, that's awesome. I think it's awesome. And like I said, the landscape's changed so much. When I play college hockey, it's so different. Obviously, having a son going through it right now, it's so fun. And kids like Kieran, then it's kind of nice to see. And I got one thing too, because it wasn't there for me when, my college years before I turned pro. Development camps. You know what I mean? Like, what was it like? Obviously, you being in Florida and Eric being in San Jose, and Brendan Svoboda, great kid. He's at my house all the time here because we have a house in Boston and here. So anyway, just it's fun to see the friendships that guys develop, between college teams. And I mean, of course, you're going to go out there and win the game, but it's fun because once you get to those development camps, has it helped you, Jack? Probably having a few more than Eric, because Eric being drafted a little bit, a year later than you. So how's it been like?
Yeah, so I've been to 3. And obviously, being in college, you only really play college kids. Even in the USHL, you don't really get a chance to see as obviously, like if you're lucky enough to play in international tournaments, or your 18s or World Juniors, you don't really get to always see these international kids. It's from Sweden, Finland, Czech, Russia even. So it's kind of cool to kind of see how you compare to them and kind of not make you complacent, because there's always some Swedish kid with the greatest hands and edge work in the world, and you're like, okay, I gotta keep working hard on stuff like this. But also, as you mentioned, it's a great chance to build relationships with people. I remember a couple college guys. We went to lunch. I had a Swedish roommate. Us and the Swedes, we went to lunch and just kind of hear them. Obviously, everyone's stories in hockey are different, and they had different backgrounds, but they're also great people. And then I was fortunate enough last year they had just won the Stanley Cup, so I got to. The Stanley Cup was kind of around. A couple of players were still there. And obviously the staff was just in the greatest moods ever. So that kind of just made it for an extremely fun week of camp.
Yeah, I love going out to San Jose because my sister lives there actually right now. So
nice.
I always go out a day before because we get to pick our flight. So I always go a day before, grab dinner with her, and I always stay a couple days after too, so just to hang out with her. And we went to Santa Cruz a bunch. We've done some really cool activities. So no, I like that. And then you didn't know people too, like in college too. Like you always kind of hang out with the college guys. I feel like just because you're similar in personalities and you kind of know what to talk about and similar stuff like that. But no, they've been fun. Like last year we did like a cooking competition. Like the activities are always fun. We went to a baseball game. No, so they always got kind of cool stuff for us. So no, it was really fun. And then we kind of play a prospects game at the end. They sold out the AHL rink last year. So no, it's always a really fun game to play in. And no, I enjoy it every year.
And again, obviously, we're an Avalanche podcast and a Denver podcast, so people are still in love with Mike Ricci, just so you know, former teammate of mine back then here, and so you get to hang out with him for a couple of days. So here you go. It's always nice to see him artists too.
Yeah, it's cool to have him there, and then they got Marlowe there.
Yeah.
They always got a couple NHL legends there, and I mean, you go to practice, and then when you're done with practice, you go hang out by the pool outside all day. So no, it's really cool like that.
I love it. I love it. Hey, listen, I want to wish you guys, honestly, the best of luck next week on both games, because I really wish, I really hope that, you guys get to play one another. Like I said, BU, because I'm a fan, because I'm a father, and then you guys, and I'm a big fan. I've always been a fan of DU hockey. So I'm hoping that they meet in the championship game, and then at the end of the day, you guys win or I don't lose, because I can't lose because I get excited if DU wins. I mean that's just genuine. It's a big part of the hockey community in Denver. Obviously, the Avalanche is a big part, but DU Pioneers were there way before the Avalanche, and they're the ones that laid the foundation. And you talk about Championship City, and you guys, again, with your coaching staff, with the culture you guys bring, Jack, having a great year this season, obviously, Eric as well, making an impact as a transfer. Both of you have been fantastic, and I wish you the best of luck. You make sure you say hi to my little guy there, Kieran Cibrian. I call him Little because I knew him when he was really little. And you say hi to everybody for me, Ron Burgundy and Ryan Massa and everyone. Those are all people that, actually, Ryan Massa was my dad's neighbor when my dad obviously lived in Denver. So Ryan Massa was a young kid, and that was his next door neighbor. So that's kind of crazy. It's a small world. Hockey's a small world.
Got any good Ryan Massa stories for us?
Yeah, no, I would have to dig. I'll text you guys. I got to ask my son, right? I mean, like he's the one that was with him all those years. But yeah, he was great. He was awesome and great goalie coach for. I know he does a little more for you guys, but goalie coach, he was awesome. Youth hockey in Denver.
He's done a lot for Matty Davis, and I think you can see why he's had so much success in the NCAA tournament.
For sure. But I wish you the best of luck, guys. Thanks for jumping in. It's awesome. Always nice to have you guys. And again, you win, you're more than welcome. You guys can bring the guys over. We have our bar downstairs where our studios are, and we'll have you guys over for some food and watch a little sports and watch a little bit of Stanley Cup playoffs. So that's a deal. If you guys win, it's on me.
Sounds good.
Yeah, thank you. Good luck to your son, too.
Yeah.
Oh, don't worry about it. He's on the bench. It's all good. It's good for me. I'm like the opposite of those parents. When they like, they get mad with the son doesn't play a lot. I get excited when he doesn't play. Then I, you know what I mean? So it's the worst position in the world, goalie. I'm not sure why he's a goalie, but whatever. There you go. Ryan Massa's fault. That's why. We'll blame him. There you go. Here's your story. Blame him. All right, guys. Great to have you guys, Jack and Eric. We wish you, honestly, DNVR Avalanche, wish you the best of luck next year, sincerely. And you guys are going to do awesome because you always do.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having us on.
There you go. The DU kids at it again. If you want to watch them in person, if you want to go get out there, well, first you have to get yourself to St. Louis. But if you happen to be in St. Louis, get your tickets through Game Time. Make sure you jump in with Game Time today, wherever your tickets, whether it's DU, whether it's the Avs, whether it's any other sporting event, they've got you covered with their Game Time Picks feature. Put in your search parameters for the game, and they'll find you the best tickets for the best price based on what you're looking for. Go get a great deal with them. Join over 15 million people that use Game Time to get their tickets today. And it's more than just sports, too. Concerts, theaters, movies, Game Time has you covered with the tickets. Use code DNVR when you download the Game Time app and get $20 off your first purchase with them. Of course, once you do that, you'll be in. You can find great deals, whether it's waiting for last-minute tickets, using that Game Time Picks feature, or just find the tickets that you like. Game Time has you fully covered. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download that Game Time app, create an account, and remember to use that DNVR code for $20 off your first purchase. Of course, terms apply, but use that DNVR code for $20 off. What time is it? It's game time, baby. Once you've got your tickets to whatever event you might be heading to, make sure you're also keeping track of things. Look, I'll be the first to tell you, if you have ever eaten at the rink, it can get expensive, all right? You trying to eat a burger at the rink for $15. It adds up quick. I'll put it to you that way. That's where Monarch Money comes into play. Finances can be messy and confusing, and Monarch Money acts like your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control so you can stop earning and start growing. You can build your wealth with 50% off your first year for our listeners over at Monarch Money. It's a great budgeting app that comes with everything. It's your command center for your accounts, your investments, your goals. You can track your spending on all sorts of different categories. It's a super awesome product to actually use. It was rated the best budgeting app of 2025 by the Wall Street Journal, and it's a tool that people actually love. So highly recommend you go check out this app. It's the top recommended personal finance app by users and experts with over 30,000 five-star reviews. If you haven't checked it out, if you haven't worked on your finances, Monarch Money is a great way to get into it. Get control over your overall finances with Monarch Money. Use code DNVR at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off at monarchmoney.com with code DNVR. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast here, E. Obviously, you talked with the DU guys there. You and BU are headed into their Final Four matchup against Penn State. These tournaments are interesting, E, because look, there's a pretty good chance that these teams have maybe one or two or more, in some cases, NHL players on them, right? I know you're very familiar with BU's lineup. They have some first rounders in there, guys like Cole Iserman. You have Lane Hudson's brother as well.
Cool, yep.
On the DU side, guys like Buium and Barons have graduated that the guys talked about. Jack Devine's a 7th rounder in Florida. My question is, what drives success in NCAA hockey? Is it the superstars? Is it the guys that everyone knows are going pro? Or is it all of the kids that maybe play that system style? That we see a lot of successful college hockey teams that aren't necessarily the most skilled. How do you balance that when you're talking about the best college teams in the league?
That's a great question. And here's what I'm going to say to you. Again, that's me. I've never worked in college. That's just from watching over the years. And then obviously having a kid in it now, it's kind of makes you watch more and understand it more. I do believe in college hockey, you win with culture, you win with leadership. Look no further than a couple years. Was it Michigan that had like 7 first-round picks or whatever, and
Yeah.
they didn't get there. If you look at Boston University last year, BU is there any more dominant rookies in the NHL than Celebrini and Hudson? I mean, both of them have been outstanding, but they didn't win, right? DU beat them, and
True.
you're going to say the margin of error is so small, right? DU beats BU, the Terriers, in overtime in the semifinal game before reaching the final game and beat BC. BC, you had the all-freshman line last year of Perreault, Smith, and Leonard, right? 3 first-round picks. Well, you got Smith playing in the NHL now. You got Perreault that just joined last week, the Rangers, and you got Leonard that joined the Washington Capitals, and then you had Gauthier that was a first-rounder in there. So you're talking about a little bit like Michigan. It doesn't mean you're going to win, because I do believe your culture, your system of play, and Jay Pandolfo is a wonderful coach at Boston University. But it just shows you that Carl does an unbelievable job, and his staff at DU. There's a culture there. The kids talked about it a little bit. You go in there, you expect to win, and you can see by the drop of the puck that those guys know how to win. There's a reason that, let's say they win, they would be 3-4. I'm not saying they're going to win. I'm saying they're in the Final Four again. BU's in the Final Four again. So it's all about culture, right? It's all about, I love Western Michigan, Penn State. Penn State is, I play with Guy Godowski, the coach there. I play with him in the minors, American League. Great guy. I know he's worked hard the last 15 years or so that he's been at Penn State, right? Club hockey team to Final Four, Frozen Four, whatever you want to call it. That's pretty cool. Yeah, in 15 years or so. But the number one thing is culture. I'm convinced. And you have to have some strong leadership, some strong older guys. Yeah, the small guy, like the younger guys, right? Like the I have a hard time saying his name, but what was he last year? Was he 12th overall in mini, or give and take, something like
Sounds
that?
about right. Look it up.
Yeah, and then obviously, like you said, Eiserman 20th overall was ranked second, third all year long. Lane Hudson's brother Cole's been dominant this year. A lot of high draft picks, or Boumadine, that's going to be a first rounder this year for BU. You know what I mean? So a lot of high profile guys.
You
Last
really
year,
think he's
Zeev was
going
in
in the
that
first
boat.
round?
Well, I mean, he's projected. I'm not saying he's going to. I'm saying projections. Last year, Zeev was projected maybe to go in the first round. Next thing you know, by November, it was like, man, this guy might go top 20. And then by, February, you're like, man, he might go top 10. You know what I mean? And by the end, you're like, my God, he might go top 5. You know what I mean? Like, he was awesome. And he's been awesome this year. He's ready for the pros. Obviously, Hobie Baker finalist, one of the last 3 finalists. So DU's got a lot. BU's got a lot. Obviously, Penn State, less familiar with, less maybe high profile guys, but you know that the culture is there. And same thing with Western Michigan. Great, great goalie in Staninsky there. LA picks, he's going to play in the NHL. Just remember that name. Again, you know me and bad names. A kid from Minnesota. They're awesome goalie. Awesome goalie. So he's going to make some heads turn here the next few years. But Western is they're right. They're due too. It's awesome. Keith Jones, right, former Avalanche. That's his program, meaning that's where he played. And so I'm looking forward to the Final Four. I'm looking forward to see how teams react. And you got to remember, it's not a 4 out of 7. It's a one gamer. So you really got to find your legs if you don't have your legs. And as we know, it does happen. That you don't have them, so you better find them quick. You got to make sure you got momentum quick. You got to make sure that every play matters. You got to play with emotions and passions, and it's fun because it's do or die games. There's no looking back. The only thing you could have is regrets, and you want to make sure that you leave it all on the table and there's no regrets, right? And if you gave it all out and it wasn't your time, and it wasn't your time, you know what I mean? And
True.
DU's got Matt Davis that's been outstanding, right, in those do or die situations the last few years, and so you can't say that experience it doesn't matter. It does matter. Where in BU you got Big Mike there, that draft pick of Jersey. That's his first situation that way, coming in as a Russian kid, 18 years old. We'll see how he does. I mean, I think he's going to do well. I'm excited to see how he reacts, but and same things. Penn State, it's that transfer in net from UConn, ends up beating his former team UConn to go to the Final Four. Calgary draft pick Sergeyev, or whatever you say his name. So all good goalies, all good cultures, all high end guys, and then obviously some good leadership on all 4 teams. One good elimination is important. Do I think experience matters? I think it does. That's where I think DU has the leg up on anybody else because they've won. And then obviously
Jack Devine's going for his 3rd chip in 4 years.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. And BU, obviously 3rd in a row Frozen Four, but they haven't won, right? Since back then, former Avalanche pick Kobe Cohen that scored that overtime goal, for the Terriers. But you're talking about experience, and Penn State obviously never been there, and I don't think Western's ever been there either. So it does matter. Experience does matter for coaches. Experience matters for players. It's in St. Louis, which is fun. They get excited. You heard the kids talk about playing in an NHL building. It does make a difference. It does matter. Kids get excited. So most teams are probably all leaving tomorrow, get down there, and they do a good job. NCAA does a great job there with, the welcoming packages in their rooms and all the swag and everything, and it's fun. And obviously it's, on ESPN, and, so they get a little bit of media attention, and then the Hobie Baker is usually there on the weekend, right, for or the Friday, I don't remember. So obviously DU's got Zeev, that's a finalist, and we'll see what happens after Macklin from BU won it last year. So should be excited.
Total sidetrack thought here, but you mentioned Ryan Leonard, who scored his first NHL goal for the Washington Capitals the other day. Ovi beat the record. I'm sure we all watched it on Sunday. Nothing else to do on a Sunday morning. But Is it not a little weird that they had a giant ceremony for it, like in the middle of the game? Like they stopped the game, they rolled out the red carpet, they did the whole nine, like in the middle of a period. Is that not a little weird?
Well, it's funny you're saying that because the kids were at the house. I told you Saturday, and like all the BU kids, and I think Max or somebody asked like, "Hey, what happens when if he scores?" And I said, "Well, yeah, that's kind of a legit question because I'm older than you guys. So when Gretz did it in was it '93? Gretz did it. I'm trying to remember '94, '93. I don't
I
remember.
I was a
Uh,
baby.
I think it was '94. I just got to LA right after, so I just missed that part. Yeah, it was the same thing. Gordie Howe was there. The game stopped. Everybody goes on the ice. Red carpet, microphones, speeches. It was the same thing for when Gretz beat Gordie Howe. So then I told those guys, I said, I bet you, for sure it's going to be the same thing. And it ended up being the same thing. And yeah, it is weird, but again, it's something I can't believe I've seen it twice in my lifetime. I really didn't think I would see it. Again, I'll say it again. There's no way anyone beats that freaking point, whatever it is from Gretz,
No.
but whatever. It is what it is. But I'm glad it's Ovi. It's a good ambassador in his own way for the league, obviously, the last 19, 20 years. So he's fun. He's energetic. He's dynamic. And what a sell. He looked like a 22-year-old diving in, or, Milan
Going for a
Hajduk back
swim
then
there,
against
yeah.
Dallas. Yeah, for a swim. So that was fun. It's exciting for hockey. Uh, wow, I mean, that's a lot of goals. You got to like to score goals. You don't miss the net much when you score that many.
Yeah, that's very, very true. We do have to pay a few more bills here before we get into our last topic, so let's hit that. Uh, it's official vehicle time. Official vehicle of the Colorado Avalanche with Toyota. They're also the official vehicle of us here at DNVR. Make sure you're getting yourself into a Toyota, whether you're off-roading or just hauling weight. Toyota has a truck for you, whether it be the Tacoma or the Tundra or whatever you're looking for. Of course, they also got the Land Cruiser. They've got SUVs. They've got options for everyone. 17 different models with all-wheel drives like the 4Runner. They also have 16 different hybrid vehicles to choose from, even hybrid trucks like the Tundra iForce Max. So jump in. They offer more low and zero emission vehicles combined than any other automaker. So they're just a great option no matter what you're looking for. Visit your Front Range Toyota stores today. Make sure you hit up a local location near you, including AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corbin Toyota and Boulder, Groove Toyota, Littleton, Mountain State Toyota, Endeavor, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Again, Toyota, the official vehicle of the Colorado Avalanche and the official vehicle of DNVR. Toyota, let's go places. Once you've got yourself in your Toyota, you're all loaded up and ready to go. Make sure you're getting yourself out and doing some exercise, doing some life, enjoying sports, being social, having fun with Volo. Volo is Denver's most popular provider of adult social sports leagues, pickup games, and events. You can sign up with your friends. You can sign up by yourself, whatever it might be. They've got all sorts of sports: soccer, volleyball, pickleball, kickball, basketball, many more too. And they're all over Colorado. In Denver, they've got Lodo, Rhino, Highland, City Park, Cherry Creek, South Broadway, and more. But they're all over the state. They're also in pretty much every major city in the country. So go check out Volo at your local place here in Colorado. Make sure you're using code DNVR10 to get $10 off your Volo leagues. Again, you can sign up by yourself as a free agent, with a small group, or a full team. All ability levels are welcome. You can come in today with that DNVR10 code for $10 off your Volo Denver League. Final period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. To circle all this back to the Avs, I mentioned Ryan Leonard, who made the jump directly to the NHL there with Washington. You've talked about some of the guys from DU that have taken the next step at the college level. For the Avs, that guy this year is Taylor Makar. Had a fantastic season at Maine. His season comes to an end. He signs his ELC, goes and joins the Colorado Eagles on an ATO, plays his first professional game the other night. Realistically, when you're looking at a kid like Makar and his path to the NHL, what are the next important steps for him as he moves into his professional career?
Here's what I'll say about him, and I can speak at ease with him. About him. Don't know him. What I'll say about Taylor is it reminds me a little bit of me in college. Obviously, I had more production than he did my first couple of years. You know what I mean? being drafted. Same path. He was drafted, went to UMass, didn't really do much his first 3 seasons, and a lot of times I tell you guys, when you get the burger ice, it's tough to produce. So he wasn't really getting the good burger ice. He was getting the dry burger with no cheese and right, no condiments, and it's hard to produce when you get that. Now he makes a decision, goes to Maine, and has a terrific season. What do I mean by me? It's like same thing, heavy feet a little bit. You got to be honest with yourself. He's got some work to do there. Has he gotten better over the years? Absolutely. He's got some work to do there. A corridor player, he's going to be up and down guy, and that's kind of what I had to figure out what to be like in the NHL. And good person, great attitude, great family, great hockey family. Obviously, Kale's the most humble person in the world, so the kid's a good kid. I think it's very important for him to have had some success this year, feel good about his game, go in an ATO in Loveland, go see what's up. I know he played last game. He didn't get anything. I'm not too sure if he's going to play every game. I don't know what the plans are. But just by being there is invaluable experience. And that's why I say I can speak freely about it. Like, I left college, same thing. We lost to Wisconsin. Same as him. I was gone on an ATO. My deal was starting the next year. I went in there, played a little bit. Next thing you know, I broke my hand. And then I was out for the rest of the playoffs, which we made all the way down to Game 7 of the Calder Cup Finals. So that experience for me of those 2 months was massive. It was massive for the fact that, I told those DU kids, like, we didn't have development camp, so they have a leg up already on there because you get, the staff, everyone, where to go, what do you need, who do you go see, and the docs and the training staff. But it gives you a leg up for whatever Taylor's going to do this year. If he plays, awesome. If he doesn't play, awesome. I think it's a bonus or whatever. If they need him to play, then he plays. It's all good. But it's important because it makes you feel better when you get to training camp. The real training camp is when it really starts. And once you do that, you can see where your game's at. You know what I mean? Like, that's when I realized a little bit, like, okay, I got work to do. You know what I mean? And I think it makes you see it once you're there with everyone, the McKinnons of the world, and whatever. I'm not going to say Kale, but you know what I mean, because it's his brother. But anyone else, like, you know what I mean, like Natushkin, and how do you see those guys every shift? And again, I tell you all the time, toughest thing to achieve as a young player is consistency. It's really hard to do. It's really hard to get. So you're talking about not an 18-year-old right now. This is a guy that's a bit older, that's been around, that's had some losses in the sense that, okay, didn't work out the best at UMass, but he's had some wins, right? Goes to Maine and it works out. Now he gets a pro contract. That's awesome. So now you got to be yourself. You don't have to be Kale's brother. You go be yourself, and you put all that together. You see where it brings you in September. And in September, obviously during the summer, you got a lot of work to do, but September will dictate where you end up. It just will. If you're ready, not ready, how do you adapt to the speed? How do you adapt to the decision-making of the National Hockey League and the American League? And remember, I tell you guys all the time, it's always a big step, everywhere you go, So good sticks are in the way. It's hard to get a shot off in the National Hockey League. You can get it in college hockey. You look, you see the top shelf on the left side, you're like, all right, I'm going to pick it. And he's got a good shot, right? Oh, I'll pick it. Then you get to the American League, it's like, oh, I have a room on the top left, and oh, boom, the stick's in the way, puck's gone, you didn't get a shot off. And where in the NHL, you don't even have to say, oh, and it's gone. You know what I mean? So there's a step, there's a thought process, and it's so fast in the NHL. You don't have time to say, oh, I got room on the left side. You know what I mean? It's already gone, meaning someone's already stripped you of the puck. So that's kind of how it is, and that's why it's hard to make the NHL. But he's got work to do, and he knows it. But it's a great thought process, and whatever happens this next few weeks or 2 months or whatever it is, and you take the most of it, and it's invaluable experience for a guy like that. Absolutely, no matter what. If he plays a lot or doesn't play at all, it's all good.
I love that you comment about him being himself, because I think that's the key for sure. And you even I'm sure he understands it, but even the people around him understand it. Kale, got interviewed at practice today, and he was talking about, obviously the AHL is the right step for him, and this is the right move, and for him to go take the next step in his career. And number one thing Taylor Makar needs to understand is that he's not his brother, and he knows that.
No,
he knows his path to the NHL is as a depth forward that plays the right way, does the right things. He's not going to be the ultimate skill guy on the team, but there is a path to the NHL for Taylor Makar. I don't think it's
for sure
particularly fast. I don't expect to see him even next season unless the Avs get decimated by injuries again. But Taylor Makar's path to the NHL is, look, if I'm giving full credit, if I'm saying Taylor Makar reaches absolutely 100% of the player that he could be at the NHL level, you're probably talking about a third line power forward type of player. Maybe he gives you 15-15 a year for 30 points, something like that. Plays hard, is a guy that the best version of Taylor Makar is the poor man's version of Arturi Lehkonen, basically. I don't know how likely he is to really hit that ceiling. I think more realistically, his path to the NHL is probably a fourth line grinder type Parker Kelly style of player more than it is that. But either of those are not a path that you turn around overnight. It's going to be a process for Makar to get there.
Yeah, and you're right. And it's we'll call his brother the Silver Spooner. Absolutely, that's a silver
For
spooner.
sure.
Are you kidding me?
For sure.
I mean, fourth overall. Everyone's waiting for you to leave, and you go there, you go dominate the playoffs in the NHL, nonetheless. So you got to wipe that out, and it's not just him. It's mostly everyone. The path to the NHL is not that way. It's not. Yes, we see it with guys like that, or Lane right now, Hudson and Celebrini. But most people, that's not how they get there. So you can't compare yourself. You can challenge yourself, but you can't compare yourself. And especially if you have the last name. And again, I went through my last name. So, him, it's more like, I'm not Cale Makar. First and foremost, I'm a forward. He's a D. That's my brother. The only thing in common we have is that we're a great family and we're great people. You know what I mean? Now, as far as being a player, and we're drafted by the same team. You know what I mean? So as far as being a player, you go make your own path. And, if you get there, then you got there. And if you don't get there, you gave it your best shot. No regrets. But yeah, you're talking about an up and down winger, corridor player, finish your check, be smart like Lecky, learn from Lecky, look at it all summer long. What does he do here? How does he get the puck out? Simple plays. I told you before, Lecky's mastered the art of the simple play. And he made it perfection. And when you do that, you can play. And if you're trying to be Cale Makar, or you're trying to be McKinnon for a play, it doesn't work. You know what I mean? Because you won't play in this league. You won't get there.
Yeah.
No, because you're not. Like I tell you all the time when the kids tell me in youth hockey, yeah, but Cale Makar does it. No. You're not Cale Makar. I mean, I get it, but you're not Cale Makar. And that's not offensive. Just please have your parents talk to me if you feel that's offensive, but it's not. You're not Cale Makar. So I understand that. For most people, it does not work. It just works for Cale or a handful of people. So be yourself, and we'll certainly support him, and as media, as fans, as teammates, and and try to see what he's got. You always pull for the good people. You always pull for the good guys, and let's see what happens with him. I'm excited.
Well, and let's be realistic about it too. The Avs prospect pool is not empty. I know they've traded away a lot of pieces. I know some of their top end has moved out. And September matters, like you said. When they get into training camp, if Makar shows well, he can move himself up that list. But just guys that played NHL games this year, you have both Ivan and Nikita Prishchapov ahead of him in that forward core down with the Eagles right now. So it's not like there is a open lane for Taylor Makar to skate his way right up to the NHL level for the Avs. There's a lot of guys in front of him that he's going to have to climb over the next couple of seasons to put himself in that position. We are headed into overtime here, so if you are watching on television, make sure you switch over to online, head on over to thednvr.com, where the conversation will continue for us. You can jump in the chat, have a little talk with us. It's always fun. Realistically, do the Avs need to start getting a little bit more out of their ELC guys at the forward position? They've done an okay job of it on defense over the last handful of years. Malinsky currently on the team. It feels like they've come up a little bit short on the forward side at times. They had Newhook for a while, but ultimately he traded it out. But they've been getting along with a lot of cheap veteran deals instead of ELC deals in their forward depth. Does that need to change, or does this salary cap increases that are coming give them a little bit more wiggle room there?
I think it's coming. I think it's normal. I think it's natural. Like you said, you get depleted. But again, you mentioned it. Look no further than Sam Malinsky. That's huge. You know what I mean? Because he ends up being a regular on arguably a contender for the Stanley Cup, right? According to pundits. So that means that's a good pick. Not a pick. I mean, that's a good choice on a free agent. Again, it'd be interesting to see where Steinberg would have ended up if he wasn't suspended or hurt this year. I think he was starting to get the trust of. I'm not saying he would have been there full time, but I think he would have gotten more than the amount that he got. You know what I mean? So
it would have been more.
Again, that's a draft pick. Yeah, and it's a draft pick. I get that, but I think you swing. You have to swing. I think you see them right now with Cooper Gay and was it the goalie? Shoot, I forgot his name. Anyway, last week there, you swing a little bit because and again, it might swing more. There's still 4 teams left. There's a lot of good college free agents in those 4 teams, right? So who knows what they're going to do? But I think you have no choice but to swing in, but to nail a couple, because you're going to run out of jersey. You won't have enough jerseys to fill the roster in Loveland if you don't have guys like that. So I mean, it's laughable, but sometimes you're like, man, we don't have enough guys. Like, what are we going to do? So yeah, so you have to hit on a few. Yeah, they seem to have signed a lot of goalies, so it's good.
It'll be interesting how things play out. In the immediate, the Avs do play tomorrow. Realistically, if the Avs win one of these last 4 games, the only way their seed can change is if St. Louis wins out. So Avs very likely, like 95% to end up in the 3 seed, is what it is. They do have a real test against Vegas tomorrow, though. So it will be interesting to see if the Avs want to show up and play the right way. It'll be a fun one. We'll be here with it, doing the whole 9 pregame, postgame watch along. You know the drill. Hopefully you'll join us for that, and you'll join us for the rest of the season and then heading into the playoffs. We appreciate all y'all hanging out with us. Give us a like. Always helps us out. We are out of here for today, though. This has been the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by Bet365.
We all silly like the mayor.